To begin then, what are the market conditions driving the industry's focus on this topic at the moment?
The fraudulent use of the public phone network is the root cause of this problem. However, the industry focus is being driven entirely by an FCC or Federal Communications Commission mandate in the US. This is actually an excellent example of how a government agency can help a large industry to advance and make improvements by setting a policy and enforcing that policy.
And I would add that this is absolutely necessary. Consumers have pretty much completely lost faith in the public telephone network. I read a recent study from Global Data that said over 88% of the people they polled either often or very often won't answer calls from unknown numbers or callers. They simply don't trust the telephone network anymore.
How are these fraudsters and nuisance callers attacking the market and its subscribers then?
Yeah, so fraudsters succeed by impersonating someone who they believe is going to be trusted. The phone network, as Michael pointed out, doesn't provide any security today at time of call origination. So a call can be originated and the fraudster can make up any originating telephone number they want, because we're not securing the network at the time of call origination. So what does a fraudster do? They originate a call from a number that they believe is someone you think you should trust. Perfect example of this is a fraudster calling as in the United States as the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and saying, "We are the Internal Revenue Service. You can know that because we're calling from an Internal Revenue Service number, and I'm alerting you to a problem where you need to make a payment to avoid a penalty." That's a common use case and particularly nasty one.
You take that kind of approach and then multiply it millions of times over through robocalling techniques, predictive dialers, automated call systems. You get to a situation where I think the latest number I read was over 200,000 of these kind of calls a minute, of which over or almost 50% of them are fraudulent in one way or another.
Okay, so how is the industry addressing this?
So we're addressing it by carriers, people that originate these calls, need to make sure every calling party is verified. So this is a know your customer requirement you might be familiar with for the banking industry. You have to start with knowing who's originating the call, and then every call as it's originated needs to be signed so that at the end, when a person receives a call, if they have a problem with it, they think it was a bad actor, they think it was someone who's behaving fraudulently. Because of the fact that the call was signed at the time of origination from a known entity, the industry is able to do what's called traceback. Actually walk back where'd that call come from and identify exactly who originated it and why they originated it. And if they turn out to be a bad actor, you can shut them off.
So what you've done with this, in fact, is create a virtual trusted subnetwork within the public telephone network. You have identified positively for people those callers that were known to be good, and by exception, anybody else should be considered to potentially be bad.
And what does NetNumber bring to market that addresses this urgent need?
So NetNumber's role is to provide the industry with the tools to make Stir Shaken a reality for every caller and every call. We provide the country level services that are needed to make this work. That's called a root CA service. We provide tools to communication service providers that need to perform this call signing and call verification. And we provide solutions to enterprises that need to be vetted, their telephone numbers verified, and then their calls signed at the time of origination so that they can be trusted on the network. We're also participating on the international side, helping international service providers to identify calls that are destined for termination in the US and need to be signed and trusted. So as a vendor, we're participating in all aspects of helping the industry to implement this stir-shaken mandate.
And all of these things that Doug have mentioned are part of a product family that we have branded Guaranteed Caller. There's a national level Guaranteed Caller, a service provider national Guaranteed Caller. There's a TDM variant on the service provider part because as it's defined in the standards today, stir-shaken is primarily a SIP and IP phenomena. There's also an enterprise and an international element to this program. The 5 of these together are the Guaranteed Caller family of products, and it's worth noting that NetNumber is the only vendor that I am aware of in the world who is offering all 5 levels of stir-shaken.
What else is there to add that warrants the industry's intent and NetNumber's approach?
As an industry, our job is to implement stir-shaken by June of 2021. So we got a year to go. That's the FCC mandate. The end goal here, as Michael points out, is to restore trust to the public telephone network. It's a big project, but a truly important and valid project for the whole industry. You know, we made huge investment as a society in having a public telephone network. And along the way, as technologies evolved, we lost the ability to trust who's originating a call. Fixing that is a fantastic and worthy effort that will add great value to everyone who uses the public network.
And the approach really is quite simple in the abstract when you think about it. Stir-shaken is a huge set of standards and elements, and it it looks quite complicated when you first look at it. But the idea simply is if you can't really figure out who and where the bad guys are, you can shut them down. But it's a game of whack-a-mole. They keep moving around. If you can't figure out who the bad guys are, you can figure out who the known good callers are. And if you just mark those, you create a trusted set of sub-callers within the public telephone network, and those calls can be allowed to go through freely. So you've really created a trusted sub-network for which the bad guys are on the outside and have no way to get inside. And that's really what stir-shaken is all about.